Mr. Happy Living here, and I'm happy to be broadcasting from WYTV7 in the beautiful Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina. Hey friends, can you imagine how you'd feel doing work you love, with people you love, in places you love, living the life you were put on this planet to live, and all the while creating something of real value to others? That's what I call a life of significance. And I can tell you, it's a very happy life. And so can my friend, Titus Bartolotta. He's my guest star today. Hey, Titus, welcome to the Something Significant Show.
Matt, thank you so much for having me. This is exciting. I'm a big fan of you and all the things you touch, which is a lot. You wear a lot of hats, and they all have this beautiful bridge where they all connect with the same theme of just hope and positivity and happiness and love. And so, man, I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
Oh, goodness. Thank you. Well, tell our audience what you're doing these days to leave your mark of significance on the world.
You know, I've got to tell you, I've gone through stages in my life where, you know, my personal story of broken home and all that kind of stuff caused me to think that a life of significance was starting a family, you know, and creating what I never had, and getting off of a cycle of poverty and lack. And so work hard and make a bunch of money. And now I think that as I've matured and I've grown, and God has truly blessed me, I think that the mark of significance that I try to leave every day is not so much with my clients or my neighbors, maybe not even so much with my friends, but I have an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, Josiah and Noah. And I think that the mark of significance is really going to be found out through what they do in this world. Mm-hmm. And what I've come to know to be true is that most things in life are probably not taught, but they are caught. And my kids are watching me all the time. And so I think the mark I'm trying to make on this planet is just to love those two kids in such a special way and give them an opportunity at happiness so that they're going to do something far greater than what I could even hope to do. I don't know if that's a good answer, but that's my answer.
That's a beautiful answer. When I started Happy Living and I started coming up with the concepts behind it, and we started off with saying our mission was to improve the health and well-being of the world, one person at a time. And we've shifted it to happy of the world, but same message. And I thought, really, for the first time in my life, if I spent the second half of my life and all I ever really did was impact the life of one person in my family, that's huge.
Magic.
Right? So you're right. We think all these grandiose things, but you know, if you can get that 6 and 8-year-old raised up good and contributing to the world, that is significant for sure.
Yeah, there's no doubt. You know, I certainly don't have it all figured out. I know that maybe one of the most brilliant words of advice that a father said to me long before I had kids, because I used to go to anybody that I thought was a good dad, and I'd be like, okay, I have no idea when or if I'll ever have kids, but I don't know what it is to have a dad. So I'm so scared I'm going to screw it up if it ever knocks on my door one day. I would ask everybody. And the best advice I got one time was never miss one of their sporting events or their recitals, because they're gonna never remember all the things you attended, but they will remember what you missed.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, thanks for that. That's the most pressure I could imagine. But I tell you, man, I'm just so excited that I get to do life with my family, and that I get to pour into my kids. It's a blessing for sure.
Awesome. All right, Titus, let's let the audience get to know you through the mathematic equation of our happy formula. And you know the one, it's capacity plus purpose equals happy.
Yeah.
So let's start with capacity. What are your personal practices for building your capacity? Physical, mental, spiritual, financial, emotional. What things do you do on a regular basis to create all the capacity you need to take good care of yourself and your loved ones, and still have plenty left over to give to others?
You know, I got to tell you, this is one that I try to refine every day. For me, it starts with a routine. It starts with a commitment to begin my day the same way I began yesterday. You know, I've come to know that consistency is hard to beat. It's kind of like the cousin of persistence. If you could be persistent and just, by God, if you could be consistent, even if you're not doing a great job, if you're just doing the job every day consistently, then anytime someone else takes the day off, at least you win that day. And so I try to start every day in prayer. For me, it's with prayer and meditation. I try to take good care and be a good steward of the soul that God's given me. And so I find myself in deep prayer and deep meditation every morning. And inside of that, I used to pray in a very particular way when I was trying to water the garden of my capacity relative to spiritual ability. And prayer would consist of a lot of asking. There was a whole lot of, here's what's wrong. Here's where you missed blessing me yesterday. And if you don't come through in this area, I'm going to be really up the creek. And I've shifted that to, I spend so much time in the morning thinking about what I'm grateful for. Just really honing in on what it is that happened yesterday, not a week ago, not a year ago, just yesterday. There was enough good that happened yesterday. I might have missed it, but there was enough good that happened yesterday. And if I can bubble that up to the top of my my pool of water, like fish floating to the top, then we could eat dinner tonight. We can catch some fish. So I try to bubble up my gratitude and what I'm thankful for. I can't tell you how much that improves my emotional and mental and spiritual capacity. But then, Matt, I make a commitment to what I call non-negotiables. I say, okay, I'm done with my prayer and my meditation. I have watered the seeds of gratitude in my soul. And now I'm going to start my day. And I have a calendar that tells me where to go and what to do. I'm certainly not smart enough like some of these waiters and waitresses that can take your order without writing anything down. I don't know how they do it, man. So my day is mapped out and time blocked, but I pick 2 or 3 things and I say, this is non-negotiable. Today, I've not earned the right to go to sleep and rest tonight if these 2 or 3 things didn't happen by the labor of my hands or my direction. These are the 2 things, come hell or high water. These are going to get done. And there's something special when I make that, I don't know if it's a contract, but when I make that agreement with myself, it stimulates my mind and heart to start thinking, well, what am I going to have to do to accomplish that? And who do I need to call? And what resources should I levy? And so for me, having the non-negotiables, having a time blocked day, and starting with a great deal of prayer and gratitude, those things stretch me like a rubber band. And a rubber band that's not stretched is kind of useless. So I'm good to start my day that way. Those are the things. Again, I don't know if I answered the question right, but that's good. But that's the answer.
It's your answer. It's got to be right.
That's right.
So before we move on to purpose, let's talk about an amazing capacity building concept called Kaizen. This is the Japanese idea that small incremental improvements add up over time. You kind of talked about that a little bit. Add up over time to yield great big results. And it means that there's always something you can do better tomorrow than you did today. And I love it because it keeps me always moving forward in some way every single day. So Titus, how do you Kaizen your personal capacity to continuously become more so you can continuously give more?
Yeah, great question. I'm a Kaizen fan. I love compounding interest. I love the idea of a little more and a little more. For me, what I do is I respect it. I hold it in high regard. I don't minimize the massive, overwhelming impact that just a little more actually means. I think that we're very quick in human culture to minimize and to maximize things. Many people use the vernacular of he never or she always, and I go, I don't think that's really true ever, right? I mean, so I try to respect and honor, and I try not to minimize the art of just a little bit more. And I also I make this commitment, Matt. I make this commitment every day. I say, I'm really proud of what I did yesterday. but I wonder if it's possible to look at it and find more pride.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of gets my brain. It's a different approach than, man, that wasn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited about what I was able to accomplish. I wonder if there's a way to be more excited.
Yeah.
And that question just kind of gets me going. What could I have done and how could I have done it? Because I learned a long time ago that if you're just a few inches off,
Yeah.
if the journey is long enough, Matt, then just a few inches left or right is miles off when you reach your destination.
Yeah.
And I don't plan on anything being short term in my life. This is a long journey life, I'm thinking about what my grandkids are going to do. And so I gotta understand that I gotta be right, because just a few inches left or right is going to equal miles off the mark. So the small incremental shifts every day, I respect those things, man. I honor them. I don't take them for granted. And I'm grateful for them.
That's good. Your thoughts about, can I do just a little bit more, reminds me of one of my favorite quotes. I have a lot of them.
Yeah.
You're perfect just as you are, and you could use a little improvement.
That's right. That's good. That's good.
All right, so let's dive into the second element of the happy formula. It seems that major life transformations and discovery of purpose often come from devastation, addictions, disease, death, disaster, extreme poverty. Some big crisis shakes your life. However, in my book, Turning Inspiration to Action, I explore how I've used a happier way and discovered my purpose through inspiration. So how about you, Titus? Was there a specific moment or event or crisis or inspiration that revealed to you the purpose you were meant to live?
Beautiful. I remember listening to you. Can I talk about you real quick before I answer your question? If you said no, I'm still going to talk about you because I want to. I remember when I listened to you talk about your book. And one of the most powerful things I heard you talk about was why desperation moves us in a greater way than inspiration. And in many cases, it's just heavier. You talked about gravity and just the physics of the pull on the human experience. And I thought it was brilliant. So if there's a listener that hasn't made the time to read your book, they are missing out. They need to do that. But to answer your question, I used to look at the crisis side of things, the mama bear. I can move a car because I'm so desperate and I'm so in crisis mode. And what I've come to know is where that energy, dealing with poverty, a broken home, parents that were addicted to drugs at one point, being picked on and made fun of and moving across the country and, a laundry list of crisis and pain and hurt. Those things stimulated momentum and movement in my life. But really, to be very honest with you, after hearing you speak, I started to try to change the lenses in which I looked at life, because that crisis that moved me, I wanted to figure out how I could be moved without another crisis needing to happen. I kind of felt like the world said, okay, I guess we have to give them another crisis. And I thought, well, if I could find a way to be moved without the crisis, that would be pretty swell. And so I've changed my outlook really because of you and your book in many ways. And so some of the inspirational things that have moved me are things like watching my wife succeed at the thing that she hoped to be great at, watching my kids accomplish something that was spectacular for them and watching their face light up. And for me, the inspirational moments, we ran a nonprofit called the Lotta Foundation for many, many years. We were one of the casualties of COVID, unfortunately, and we wanted to be good stewards of the money. And when we couldn't fundraise and we couldn't serve the community, it didn't make sense to burn money. So we gave the money to other 501c3s that had the manpower to operate in the midst of COVID. But we ran the Lotta Foundation for many, many, many years. Tens of thousands of people were impacted in a positive way because of the efforts of, can we just do a lot of good? And what I learned through that was inspiration's this fuel source that doesn't seem to burn out. It's not that it may not be as explosive as crisis, but a rocket has the initial explosion and then it's kind of done. Inspiration maybe a more slow and steady pace, but it doesn't leave you on the side of the road with your hood up and you're trying to thumb a ride because you've run out of gas. So I've really focused on the sparkle of inspiration to be the fuel source to move me forward. And your book, again, has a lot to do with that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. All right, Titus, well, let's take a commercial break to spread a little love for our awesome November sponsors, Dry Farm Wines and Happy Living. Mr. Happy Living here. I love good things made by good people. That's why I love Dry Farm Wines. I first met the man known as the healthiest wino on the planet back in 2016. He said his wines don't cause headaches or hangovers, and that he started his company because most wine consumed in the U.S. is highly processed and loaded with unnatural nasties. Like most processed food, it's toxic. That very night, I made a big health decision. Toxic wines out, natural wines in. It's been 4 years since I made the switch, and I feel great. Go to happyliving.com and select Partners in Happy to get your first bottle of natural wine for a penny. And I'll donate 8% of every order placed during the entire month of November to WYTV7. Share the gift of natural wine and pour some love this holiday season. And we're back. And this is the Something Significant show. And I'm Matt Gersper. Hey, friends, do yourself a great, big, delicious health favor and go to happyliving.com and select Partners to buy some Dry Farm wines right after the show. They curate all natural, toxin-free wines from organic small family farms all around the world. Every night it's fun to open a different bottle of delicious and clean wine. It'll be fun for you too. But now let's get back to my guest star, Titus Bartolotta. Titus, I recently discovered an article called The Science Behind the Power of Giving. It was on lifescience.com. And it says the act of giving itself can be a gateway to discovering your reason for being on this planet. It concludes that compelling scientific data supports the notion that giving one's time, talents, and treasures is a powerful pathway to discovering purpose, transcending difficulties, and finding fulfillment and meaning in life. So I updated the formula. Capacity plus purpose plus giving equals really happy.
Wow.
So what do you think, Titus? From your own life experience, has giving your time, talents, and treasures been a pathway for discovering your purpose and transcending difficulties that you've faced in your life and for bringing real meaning into your life?
There's no question. I think let me frame it this way. It's only after we start spending our money that we start to understand what money is. If you never have an expense, if there's never a cost to anything, then there's not a lot of value associated. When I started to get bills and I started to have expenses in life, I started realizing why it was important to go to work, why it was important to earn. I think this is true in the essence of who we are as people. When we start to have a cost to living life that goes beyond utilities, but goes into the very highest valuable thing, which may be my time, talent, and sometimes treasure, but oftentimes more my time and my talent. When I start to have an expense and a cost of that, we find this occurs maybe for one of the first times when we find love. And it demands our time and even our talent, right? Our talent of being compassionate or empathetic or connecting. We start to find that really quickly when you start keeping score, you know what matters most. When all of a sudden you go, wait a minute, there's a cost here. And now I've realized that my inventory was low. I didn't know my inventory was low until I realized there was a cost. I couldn't meet the demand of the forecasting of my day-to-day operations of just life or relationships. And so for me, once I started to give my time and give my talent and give my treasure, and this would happen through tithing in church or charitable donations or volunteering to build homes or paint decks or help disabled individuals, when I realized that time is finite and that talent is precious, and I realized that there was going to be a greater cost because I chose to give, it actually inspired me. It moved me to go fill up somehow and find more minutes that I didn't know existed. The greatest lie any human tells themselves is I don't have enough time. Absolute BS. But you find minutes. It's amazing. You find more talent. You find a better pitch in which to sing and to let the blessing of whatever you're gifted at, when you choose to give. It's important. It has revolutionized my life. There's no question.
That's awesome. Excuse me. And that's the science. And I agree. And like you, I've experienced the wonderful feeling that comes from that fourth element of significance, doing work or doing things that create value to others. I've experienced firsthand how the magic of life comes not from getting more, but from giving more. But it's more than that. It's not just the giving that's magical. What I've been learning, Titus, is it's when you're giving from living in your purpose. That's where the magic lies. That's where the magic lies. So tell us, Titus, how does it make you feel when you're giving through to others through the work you were put on this planet to do, which you're doing these days? And a client writes, Titus is the real deal. He's masterful in helping you shift your business focus onto what matters most. And another writes, when you work with Titus, you can't help but be inspired to become your very best. Every encounter with him leaves me feeling a better, stronger, more productive person, not only in my career, but as a parent, a spouse, and a friend too. And another, his ability to connect with his client and others around him is remarkable. I've enjoyed his involvement in my business life and in my personal life too. Titus is committed to making the world a better place. Titus, how does all that make you feel?
You know, it makes me feel warm. And normally if you go to my house, I keep it about 60 degrees. I don't like being hot, but that makes me feel warm and I'm okay. I'm warm, but not sweating. And I'm grateful and humbled by those words. Here's what I know, Matt, when I'm in my purpose, generally I'm in my highest and best use. And when I'm in my purpose and my highest and best use, I'm having fun. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. You know, a lot of times people say that if you're not having fun, you're probably doing the wrong thing. And I oftentimes say, I don't know if that's exclusively always true, right? There are times I'm in my purpose and it doesn't feel fun. It feels tough. But for the most part, I'm having joy and happiness when I'm in my purpose. I remember one time, and this is going to sound arrogant. I hope to God it doesn't come across that way. But I remember after 4 or 5 different industries or ventures, I noticed that I was good at every one of them. I said, Lord, I'm confused. I said, Father, if I'm good at that and this and that and that and that and that, what am I supposed to do? Like if I could be bad at some stuff, I would know, well, that must be a sign that I ought to not be doing that. But what I realized was there was this common denominator through all the things I was doing in life. When I was working at here or there, I was coaching, I was leading, I was inspiring, I was encouraging, I was challenging thought, I was holding people accountable with love and compassion. It just looked like I was bagging groceries.
Yeah, but
you know,
can I ask you that question? Because I know you did a lot of different things as an employee. For others. And what you did, what I've seen you do, is you took all that stuff that you were doing that were the common denominators of these different various businesses that still required that same human touch and element and process, and you created it your own. So the question is there a difference in the joy you get from this rather than bagging groceries? I'm sure you were happy bagging groceries, but this is you.
Right? I would be lying to you if I told you they were equal. They're not. They're not. I found joy in those things because I
Yes.
was doing my purpose. But I find that now I don't know that I have to seek joy. I think that it finds me.
Yeah.
And I just find that I'm sitting in I think musicians call it sitting in the pocket, right? When you're
Mhm.
kind of in the rhythm of what you're doing, and your audience this might trigger something. Have you ever been driving somewhere and this may not be safe, but you arrive where you're going and you almost don't know how you got there, right? You go,
100%. Yep.
I kind of went into autopilot. That's
Yep.
what it feels like when I'm in my workspace now. I feel like joy finds me. I just find myself joyful. I don't have to find the elements of my workplace that are fun and joyful.
Yep.
It's the whole sandbox is filled,
Yep.
you know? And so I think it's possible when you're not in your purpose yet, because I want to make sure I say this advice, because I get a lot of young people that they want to quit their job. Everybody wants to start a business at the age of 17.
Right.
And I tell everybody, hold on. You can be in your purpose bagging groceries. You can find a way to take your purpose and inject it like a sauce into a dish on a plate of food. You can inject salt, right? That is your purpose. That is your seasoning onto whatever meal it is that you're eating. It is different though, when all of a sudden the whole plate is filled with nothing but your purpose. It's special.
Yeah.
But I think you got to cultivate and you got to mature and you got to marinate that. And I tell folks, don't unplug, right away just because you had a bad day.
No, you're learning every step of the way. And so that's interesting. So purpose and giving makes this great big happy circle. Giving your time, talents, and treasures is a powerful pathway to finding purpose. And giving from living in your purpose brings profound joy to your life. So giving leads to purpose, and giving from purpose leads to joy. And Titus, that's the exponential power of the happy formula. Capacity plus purpose plus giving equals happy to the third power. And that's really, truly, deeply happy. Does that sound about right to you, Titus?
No question. I mean, it's such a beautiful way that you've put it together for people. It's concise, it's easy, it's sound, and I'm all in on it. I think it's perfect.
Awesome. Well, let's wrap things up then. Once you get the order, you stop talking. So, okay,
right.
let's do a lightning round. I'll read a few of my very favorite quotes and you respond telling us what it means to you. The first thing that comes to mind, because it's called a lightning round.
That's right. Yeah.
So here we go, from Dr. Wayne Dyer. Even if no one sees or acknowledges it, a silent blessing or thought of love towards others contains a vibration that'll be felt throughout the cosmos.
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is being able to be a part of someone else's joy. And nobody has to know that. I know that, my God knows that, but it really more just being a part of someone else's joy. Maybe they wouldn't have had it today. And me telling the world could have gotten in the way of me doing the work.
That's right. All right. From Heraclides, no man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river and he's not the same man.
It's like when I watch a movie a fourth and fifth time, I catch things I missed the first and second time, and everybody can tell me it's the same movie and they can tell me I'm still me, but I'm an older, wiser, different version of myself. And that's what it feels. That's the first thing that pops into my heart when I hear that. I might be in a different place today than I was when I stood in that pond before. All of a sudden the water feels different. Yeah.
Good. This is from my past. I don't know who the author is, but I love it. Other people's opinion of you is none of your business.
Could you imagine if we actually could do that, right? All the time with consistency. I think it's a great way to go to market and a great way to go to life. I got to tell you, when I get someone's opinion and it's very pleasing, it can really pour into the tank of arrogance and hubris and pride. And when I get some opinion that's not very pleasing, it can feed, or it can fuel fear and self-doubt. It's probably best to not make those a part of the equation of my day-to-day.
100%. From Grandpa George in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. There's plenty of money out there. They print more of it every day.
I feel like he was a prophet talking about American economy in 2021, perhaps. Yeah, I think we lose sight of things when we just feel like we can copy, paste. The coolest things on the planet is when you hear somebody that says they go antiquing and they get a one of a kind. Nowhere else on the planet can you find it. I have those things in my life that I got, you know, and it reminds me of a moment. And that thing is so beautiful because nobody's remaking that. Certainly not when I got it and how I got it.
Awesome. Last one. This is a show anchor from Goff. Whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now.
Yeah, the first thing I think about with that is how much I agree with that, and how some of the greatest champions in the world, Muhammad Ali didn't know how to beat Foreman until after he started getting punched in the mouth by the man. And analysis paralysis is such a devastating, debilitating pandemic in human culture. I couldn't agree more that you don't know what you don't know. And if you get started, you'll know what you need to know to finish the race that you've started.
But can you imagine being punched in the mouth by George Foreman?
Yeah, I got to tell you, man, I couldn't imagine. But I'll tell you this. I don't know too many people that train harder and are more prepared than Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
And when he got hit in the mouth, he said, wait a minute.
Exactly.
Hold on.
Do something different.
Gotta do something different.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, now folks, are you ready to be a giver too? If you can hear my voice and you were inspired by today's show with Titus Bartolotta, please share a little love with our amazing broadcast team by donating what you can to WYTV7. They're a 501c3 charity on a mission to educate, empower, and encourage. They do good works with your kindness. Titus, I just love your awesome spirit and your commitment to living life, staying teachable and gathering knowledge at every stage. And I admire your mission to help others find their God-given gifts and then maximize them to serve others, because you know, once they're able to serve others, they'll begin really serving themselves. And I'm so happy that you shared your powerful voice on our show today.
Matt, I am so grateful, so blessed. It is never lost on me when somebody cares to hear what I think or feel, especially somebody that's so accomplished as yourself. And thank you so much. I love what you do. I love what Happy Living does. This show is beautiful and wonderful. And I get to be a chapter in all the many, many chapters that you'll continue to write. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Take a minute and share any parting remarks you'd like to leave with our audience.
Man, I love connecting with people. And so if anyone out there says that they'd like to know more about what we do at Collaborative Solutions Group and learn a little bit about how we approach life, we have this cool thing. We call it Flame. It's kind of our worldview at Collaborative Solutions Group. It's an acronym. It's faith, love, appreciation, motivation, and empathy. If you have those things, you can bring light to what's dark. You can bring warmth to where there's coldness. And I promise you can bring life to what might be barren. A flame is quite special. And so if you want to learn more, man, we'd love for you to go to www.team-csg.com and connect with us. We'd love to know more about you as well.
Fantastic. I also want to thank WYTV7 for hosting and promoting our show so we can keep interviewing inspiring guests like Titus and reaching folks just like you, ready to create your own extraordinary lives. A special thank you to our sponsors for the entire month of November, Dry Farm Wines and Happy Living. Remember, the more you buy, the more I'll donate to WYTV7. So go to happyliving.com, select partners, and send some Dry Farm Wine gift packages to family and friends this year. Then pour some love together for the holiday season. Most especially, thank you, viewers and listeners. You'll find links to websites and social media and all things Titus Bartolotta. Find him, friend him, buy his book, The Master Within, and read his online magazine that he talked about, Flame. F for faith, L for love, A for appreciation, M for mindset, and E for empathy, Flame. You can also book a free business coaching strategy session. It's all available at collaborativesolutions.com. That's collaborativesolutions.com. And from me to you, dear friends, I love you and I want you to be happy and living your life to its fullest. To believe as I do that a better self is always possible today and every day for the rest of our lives. I hope Titus got you motivated and feeling super confident and bold, ready for action, ready to start discovering your unique and distinct reason for being on this planet, because that's how you're going to make your mark of significance on the world. And the world is ready to hear from you. Till next time, I'm Matt Gersper. You are awesome. And this is the Something Significant Show. And we're out.